Imagine a young child taking their first step. They wobble, fall, and cry. No one in the room concludes that walking simply isn't for them. Everyone understands that falling is the exact moment learning begins. Fast forward 20 years. That same human sits in front of a laptop trying to learn programming or Excel. They forget a shortcut, make a mistake, and immediately assume their struggle is evidence of a lack of intelligence. Somewhere between childhood and adulthood, millions of us began believing a quiet, devastating lie, that if a subject feels difficult, it means you lack the innate talent to understand it. This misconception stops capable people from acquiring new skills. It convinces adults they are too old to learn a language or too bad at math to understand accounting, causing them to quit at the exact moment their brain is trying to adapt. Look back 200,000 years. Long before classrooms existed, human survival relied entirely on a physical cycle of observation, imitation, and repeated failure. This trial and error process was our original survival tool. Breaking stone after stone until one finally worked allowed early humans to build civilizations and pass down life-saving methods through generations. As education became formal, many people began confusing the passive act of being taught with the friction-heavy process of actual learning. Today, the internet amplifies this confusion. You can watch 50 hours of pristine coding tutorials, and your brain will reward you with a feeling of competence, even if you cannot build a basic calculator on a blank screen. Understanding someone else's clear explanation does not constitute progress. It is a trap that bypasses the mental friction required for human adaptation. Learning physically alters your brain's biological structure every time you force it to adapt to a new, difficult challenge. Think of it like walking across a tall, grassy field. The initial journey is slow and difficult, but if you walk that same route every day, you eventually carve a smooth, permanent path. Scientists call this neuroplasticity. Whenever you practice a task, specific groups of brain cells communicate. This repeated use physically reinforces the connections between them, making the pathway more efficient. This creates a hard division between knowledge and skill. Knowledge is the collection of raw information, while skill is the automatic physical ability built by these reinforced neural pathways. You are not permanently gifted or flawed at specific tasks. You simply become whatever your brain repeatedly practices. This explains why you can follow a tutorial today and forget every step tomorrow. You skipped the uncomfortable stage where the brain actually does the work to build the pathway. To strengthen that pathway, you need retrieval practice. This is the biological trigger that forces the brain to pull information from memory without help, reinforcing the connection for future use. Rereading notes only creates recognition, a familiar feeling that tricks you into thinking you know the material. True recall means producing the answer from a blank page, which requires significantly more mental effort. This illustrates desirable difficulty. Growth happens in the middle, between light tasks and impossibly heavy weights. Experts use reflection to transform isolated facts into a connected system. Organizing around core principles allows one idea to unlock 10 others. Masters do not possess flawless memories. They possess highly organized neural networks. This allows them to search, troubleshoot, and retrieve missing information effortlessly because they understand the underlying structure. Education occurs when a learner becomes an active builder, possessing the capacity to apply knowledge to solve real, unscripted problems. You can apply a 4-step framework. Spend 20% of your time exposing yourself to core concepts and 30% actively building alongside an instructor, moving your hands rather than just your eyes. Allocate the next 30% to struggling independently. When an error occurs, identify the specific problem and search for the solution instead of rewatching the entire lesson. Finally, use the remaining 20% to build an original project. Creating something from scratch forces you to make decisions and exposes the specific weaknesses that tutorials hide. Fields like medicine or the preservation of religious texts require an exception. Because the brain naturally deletes unused information, mastering these domains requires consistent, deliberate review to maintain perfect recall over a lifetime. Repeating this cycle of struggle, recall, and reflection is the only reliable system humanity has discovered for mastering any complex discipline. Innate talent is only a fraction of the mastery equation. overshadowed entirely by years of disciplined repetition and the willingness to look foolish. Wrestling with a mundane spreadsheet forces pure mathematical logic to manifest through the physical growth of new, highly efficient neural pathways. Retrieving a complex formula from memory engages the neuroplastic adaptation that has allowed humans to master their environment for millennia. You are not defined by your current limits, because the ability to learn provides the foundation for all future growth.